Yo, you got a mic. What's going on, guys? Back for another banger video. And in today's video, I'm going to be discussing why I think Oliver Saxon deserves to be in the conversation of a top 5 villain in Dexter. And I'm not going to go over my top 5 in this video, but I think that Oliver Saxon is very underrated and should be rated among the greats in terms of villainy, completely honestly, in my opinion. This isn't rage bait, I promise you. Hear me out. But before we get into that, make sure to hit that subscribe button because I'm only about 100 subscribers away from 1K, so help me achieve that goal. And with that out of the way, let's get right into the video. So the whole reason I'm even making this video is because me and my friend were debating who deserves to be in the 5 spot of like the top 5. We were just giving our villains, and he thought Travis Marshall deserved this spot more than Oliver Saxon. I'm not going to compare these two in this video. I'm really just focusing on Oliver Saxon. But that comparison is kind of a no-brainer in my opinion. Because yes, Season 8 was worse than Season 6. But Season 6 was heavily villain-focused. Like the entire season was focused on Travis Marshall being the villain. Like that was the main plot. Oliver Saxon was the Season 8 third most important plot line. And I'm not saying this because I think Oliver Saxon was like the third most important because he just was a trash villain. They just put him by the wayside. No. I'm saying this because people might immediately think Oliver Saxon's a bad villain because he's in the worst season of Dexter, pretty objectively. But the thing is, Oliver's inclusion in that season was not why it was bad. It was Vogel being a freaking random character out of nowhere, the pacing being incredibly slow, having one of the worst endings in television history, and many other factors. But what wasn't a factor was definitely Oliver Saxon. He was one of the peak points of the season when he killed Vogel, when he was stalking the streets, when he was the brain surgeon. Like, that was a literal threat. And it was kind of like Season 1 where you actually didn't know who the killer was, and you had to figure it out as Dexter went along. It was pretty similar to the ice truck killer, where it was kind of right under Dexter's nose the whole time, because Oliver was under his alias, and he was literally Dexter's neighbor. Dexter's neighbor, bro. I mean, not literally, but he was dating his neighbor. So basically, he was Dexter's neighbor right under his nose the entire time. He literally killed Dexter's actual neighbor, showed up to the crime scene, and Dexter didn't even suspect a thing. Like, come on now. Maybe you can blame this on Dexter just, like, losing IQ for some reason over the seasons, the bad writing of Season 8, or you can just give Oliver Saxon his credit when credit is due and admit that Oliver Saxon was pretty sneaky. He was flying under the radar. And let's just mention the rest of Oliver's feats. Let's just say all the characters we know he killed, like all the somewhat important ones, right? So I already said Dexter's real neighbor, who Oliver was fake dating at the time. We have Zach, who was Dexter's kind of student, you know? He got rid of Zach. I was actually surprised when that happened. I was like, wait, he really just murked Zach, like, out of nowhere? We got Vogel, who was, like, one of the most important characters this season, and his own mother. Let's not forget that. And finally, he killed Deborah. And let's not say that Dexter was the one who killed Deborah. She was brain dead. That is probably worse than death. So, if Oliver never shot her, Dexter would have never pulled the plug. Being brain dead is basically the equivalent of being dead. Can we just be for real for a second? So, Oliver killed his girlfriend, who is Dexter's neighbor, right under Dexter's nose, right next to him. Zach, who was Dexter's protege. Vogel, who was Oliver's mom and Dexter's mentor at the time. And finally, Deborah, who is the second most important character in the entire show and the closest person in Dexter's life. I don't see any other villain in the entire show putting up that stat line. Can we be for real? He has one of the best track records out of all the villains. Brian Moser, Trinity, I don't care. Those are the GOATs. Can we just please look at Oliver Saxon's resume? Not just that, But the aura Oliver brought to the show was exactly what it needed. It needed the darker. All of Oliver's edits are like the scary horror type on TikTok. I mean, I don't have TikTok, but when I did have it, those were the edits of Oliver I would see. And that type of aura for a serial killer villain is pretty hard to attain. The only people you see getting edits like that are Brian or Trinity and even Dexter, right? Those are the GOATs. So if Oliver's getting the same edits as the GOATs, obviously that must mean he's in conversation. No, that point's kind of, I'm messing around with that point, but it is still something to take into consideration. So we went over Oliver's track record. We've went over his aura. Let's finally go over his impact. So since Oliver is the final villain of the entire series, he obviously had to do something detrimental, which was killing Deb. We already went over that. And this caused Dexter to literally flee his life. Because he probably knew Dexter would try to kill him in the police station because he's a psychopath. He probably didn't even mind him killing him. He was just like, well, I got to murk a bunch of people you liked and you only got to kill me, so I basically won this. And he also forced Dexter to leave his entire life behind. I mean, there really wasn't much left in Miami for Dexter to stay for. Like, you had Batista, Quinn, Masuka, and Jamie. That's literally, I mean, you also had Hannah and Harrison, but they already left because Dexter was scared Oliver was going to kill them. Dexter was scared that his girl and son were going to get murked by Oliver. That's how threatening he was. And instead of rejoining him, Oliver traumatized Dexter so hard, he decided, nah, I'm not going to go reunite with my girl and my son. I'm going to go become a lumberjack in New York. That is some serious trauma that Oliver had to put him through. I think this synopsis says enough. I hope you guys enjoyed my breakdown of why Oliver Saxon needs to be in the GOAT debate for Dexter villains. Make sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss another of my banger videos, and we'll see you guys in the next one.